Good evening, everybody. DB, you are muted.
Hello, hello.
Welcome to another episode of Critique Corner with me, Daniel Parker.
And me, DB Fastbinder, who is no longer muted.
Yes, if you're returning, welcome back. If you're new, what we do here is we critique stuff from our corners. We've kind of adjusted our approach lately. We review stuff that we just feel like reviewing. Doesn't matter when it was released or
Yeah, right. It became too annoying to find new stuff consistently.
Yes, yeah, and there are only so many Netflix originals that we can watch before we're just like, I've had enough.
Right. It's like, please, can we watch something that's good? Something that
Yeah.
wasn't made to be watched with something on in the background.
Yeah. Yes. But before we get started on our or with our reviews, DB has a bit of an announcement to make.
Yes, after a long hiatus. Now I've been posting stories to my Patreon, but after a long hiatus and some heavy editing, Book 6 of Magpie Wizard is finally coming out. In this chapter, basically, Soren is in the army now. He's not behind a plow. He has to become an actual wizard corpsman. In the course of things, he ends up meeting the King of England, much to his guilt, because he helped destroy the island in this one, and ends up being knighted. But there's a mysterious young lady who may carry a secret that will come up later in the book, especially when they have to go investigate a secret bunker that has the body of the mutated demon Mulciber that other forces may be interested in.
Ah.
And it may also feature a giant millipede, but that's not entirely atypical for Magpie Wizard.
No, of course not.
It's currently up for pre-order on Kindle. There's the print version is also it should be available there. If it isn't yet, it'll be soon.
Nice.
So you can, and it will also be up for Kindle Unlimited if you have that subscription. So you can read it however you like.
Nice. Yeah. Well, I'll definitely be picking up a copy. I'm looking forward to reading this book. Great series so far, and great characters. I'm very interested in finding out what happens with Soren, and I believe Rose is coming back. Is she not in this one, or is she
not in this one, but in the one I'm currently writing?
Okay. That's right. Okay.
See, I feel like I need at some point to start killing characters because. But the thing is, like, the ones who I would consider killing, everybody would go, "No, they're my favorite."
Yeah. No, don't kill my waifu.
Yes, that is the problem with having a series that is at least tangentially waifu-ish.
Yeah. Oh, boy.
Nobody wants you to kill their darlings.
No.
But
yeah.
Speaking of killed darlings, or perhaps speaking of enormous eruptions,
Yes.
we reviewed the 1990s classic movie Dante's Peak.
Yes. The great one of the volcano disaster movies that came out in the late 90s, alongside Volcano with Tommy Lee Jones, which I've seen parts of that movie. I've never seen it all the way through. But this movie I had never seen before, and I remember when it came out and seeing the previews for it and thinking, that looks really stupid.
So Daniel, what did it turn out to be what you expected?
Yes. Yes, it is very stupid.
So basic premise. The elevator pitch for this movie was, it's Jaws, but the shark's a volcano.
And the scientist is played by James Bond.
Yes, or if you prefer, Remington Steele.
Yes.
The mayor is Sarah Connor.
Oh yeah, yes, and Sarah Connor. Uh, yeah,
So the story in this one is kind of an excuse, honestly. Um, because like, okay, the problem with any sort of disaster movie is it's a man versus nature or man versus God story, depending on how you want to clarify or classify it.
yeah,
And so it's like, and also the draw of the movie is not the characters themselves. The characters are an excuse to go fight a mountain.
yeah,
You need to like care about them just enough that you would rather that they not die than live. But it's also like they're kind of window dressing for a bunch of action scenes as they're trying to deal with the lava flows and explosions and everything. Now, I will.
yeah.
This one did like a decent-ish job giving you characters you kind of cared about.
Yeah, decent enough. I mean, it's. I mean, I will say like Brosnan kind of sells it really well. I mean, he's not. He isn't very James Bond like in this. I mean, he's kind of sorry, I have a hard time picturing him as a somebody like him as a volcanologist.
Uh, uh,
I just don't see it.
it's like Rainier Wolfcastle, like pretending to be a nerd.
Yeah. Yeah. But but yeah, but I mean, the other part of it is, of course, Linda Hamilton's character is a single mom. She has a son who's about, what would you say, like 11 or 12.
Sounds about right.
Yeah, and
Daughter's like
then
6.
yeah, and he's got some good little scenes with them. Um, but but yeah, it's just yeah. The other part with disaster movies, you were bringing up with the having the characters you care about, like the other part of it too is the drama comes from like soap opera elements.
Right. The Linda Hamilton's character, the mayor, um, has a contentious relationship with her mother-in-law because her son left them in the lurch for semi-specified reasons.
Yes, am I can't yeah, I'm not really, I don't know if they really ever did kind of fully explain why he left. He just kind of left.
Which I guess you don't necessarily need to go into extreme detail for this level of movie.
Yeah. Well, and then you also had to the prologue of the movie where Brosnan's character is in what did he say, Colombia?
Right, that's
And
right. That's right. You have the excuse of the movie, which is why he's troubled to this day, and the mistake he has to make up for.
yeah, because he was with another team watching a volcano erupt in Colombia, and then I guess like his like girlfriend or whatever she was gets killed, and yeah, and so basically like the whole setup is that Brosnan's character, Harry Dalton, they send him off to Dante's Peak, which is a volcano and a town in, is it Washington?
Yep, it was Washington because
Yeah.
they kept invoking Mount St. Helens.
Right. Yeah. Yeah. And so they send him out there to investigate because they're seeing some activity from the volcano. And of course, he goes out there and does the scientist thing, and like the he says finds out the water is really acidic, and all the wildlife's dying, and there's a hot
Right.
spring nearby that is boiling over, and a couple of tourists get killed in it.
Yep. Yeah. And of course, it's like the classic. Yeah, I said it was Jaws on a mountain.
Yeah.
Um, yeah, the town just got declared was it only in the top 20, or was like it the second best place to
Uh,
live under 20,000 or 20,000
se-
people, or
yeah, in second place. Yeah.
second
Yeah.
place in some magazines, best places to live under 20,000. Like, we can't have yeah, you have like the person from the U.S. Geological Survey who's like the older guy who's kind
Yeah.
of playing the role of the mayor in Jaws, where it's like we can't evacuate. we pulled the trigger too soon on an evacuation in such and such town,
Yeah, and
and
the town never
we
recovers. Yeah,
right, so we have to be careful. So like
yeah,
even as like they keep finding dead squirrels up in the mountain, and they keep getting like minor earthquakes and stuff, and of course Bond there wants to evacuate as soon as possible. You're just trigger happy because your wife or girlfriend or whatever died.
yeah, yeah. And then of course, by the time they realize something is, that the volcano is about to erupt, it's already too late, and it starts going off.
Right. And there's a lot of manipulation in there. Like,
Mhm.
not only are there two children that they put in danger, but also a dog.
Yeah, yeah. What was it with 90s movies and having to have a dog that's in danger and needs to get saved?
I don't know. I wonder if it went away because the trope lost its legs, or if it's because um, they didn't want to have to deal with the requirements for animal safety.
Mm, yeah, or probably a little bit of both.
Yep. Now, on the plausibility scale, this might be one of the least plausible science-ish movies I've ever seen.
Mhm.
Now, nothing can or will ever surpass the real goat of the genre, The Core, for its sheer absurdity.
Yeah.
But
Another
this gives
yeah.
it a run for its money.
Oh yeah, yeah, yeah. Well, The Core is another movie that when I saw the trailer for it, I'm like, oh, that movie looks really stupid. I'm not going to go see it. And sure enough, nobody went to go see it.
Yeah, when I was in college, my geology department actually put on a showing of it in my dorm with one of the geology professors there to kind of go over how stupid it was.
I'm sure that was entertaining.
Yep. Um, Now, as far as this movie goes, like there are things that seem science-ish enough. Like I'm sure they actually did a little bit of research to go, okay, what does a volcanologist actually do? How would you know if a volcanic eruption was going to happen? What kind of surveying or studying would they do, et cetera, et cetera, right?
Right. Yeah.
Um, the thing is that how to put this, I feel like the plausibility runs out somewhere in the mid-movie.
Yeah, probably when when the volcano first starts to erupt. Yeah.
Right. The thing is, like, those people should have been so much more dead.
Oh yeah, yeah. Well, there's a scene in there where as I'm watching it, I'm screaming at the TV, "No effing way!"
Right. Like they drive over a sea of lava on the rims of their truck,
Like, no.
but it's a special government truck for volcanologists. It has a
Yeah,
snorkel for the engine and everything.
right, right, yeah, yeah, yeah. Never mind the fact that the tires would have just completely exploded before they got within 5 feet of the freaking lava. But
Right. And never mind that the metal would have started, melting.
yeah, yeah.
But
Oh.
yeah, no, you are not watching this for the plausibility. Also, I suspect that one scene with the acid lake would have probably been even worse off than they were in the movie,
Yeah.
to not spoil it too badly.
Well, what got me was like, so to paddle the boat along, Brosnan takes his jacket off and wraps it around his arm and starts,
Yeah,
pushing.
paddling.
I'm like, no, no, that it would have eaten through his jacket and his arm would have been just completely
Um, well, also,
burned.
it's not like his the jacket would have been like actually waterproof
Yeah,
or acid proof in this case. So,
yeah,
um, now he would have been totally screwed.
yeah.
Like
Even
some would have
worse.
leaked in.
Yeah. Oh yeah, yeah. Mm. Yeah. 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 Stupid. Yes.
And also it's kind of an unpleasant movie to watch if you're at all squeamish. Like
Yeah.
there's like a lot of kind of horrific injuries going on.
Yeah, yeah, a lot of real, yeah, like people getting hit with debris and then burn, people, obviously getting burned by,
By
all sorts of
acid.
things, by acid
Yeah.
and yeah, and, yeah. Well, I think they did all of that to get a PG-13 rating.
True, if they hadn't actually like had a broken arm or whatever, or
Yeah,
it might have accidentally skirted away with a PG rating.
yeah,
And I don't know what it is, but for some reason, just watching people get injured by cruel, uncaring fate doesn't like do it for me.
yeah.
Like a monster like Jaws is more interesting because like the person has a chance to fight back, whereas like again, like they should have been dead so many times over.
Oh, yeah, yeah.
Like at one point they go into a mine shaft in the middle of a pyroclastic flow, and it's like the mine shaft is also down.
Uh, yeah, it's underground, and there are gonna be tremors down there.
Well, and moreover, you're gonna have a bunch of debris flow in there.
Yeah.
I don't care if you do have a cave in at the start, but like sure the rocks might start to stop the big debris, but you're still gonna have a bunch of poison gas flow in probably.
Oh, yeah, yeah. Uh, yeah.
And all because grandma refused to come down the mountain.
Yeah, I guess. Yeah.
Um, so yeah, like Linda Hamilton and Pierce Brosnan do their best with what they're given, but it's just like, yeah, it's like a half soap opera, rom-com, half disaster movie.
Yeah.
There's only a couple more days to watch this on Netflix before it leaves. I don't think we would recommend bothering with it.
No, I wouldn't either. Yeah. Nope. Nope.
I have literally no transition for our next thing. So next up, the manga, The 31st Consort.
Hmm.
This this was given to me as a gift by a buddy of mine, um, and it's for Christmas. And I would say that this is one of those things where uh, this sort of setting usually appeals to him more than me. Because I don't know that I would call this actually a high fantasy versus, or even I actually don't know if I would even call this a fantasy at all, in the sense that I don't recall seeing any hints of magic or whatnot.
Uh,
It's just like a entirely ordinary early modern to mid modern setting in a
uh,
fantasy in a made up kingdom.
uh,
So basic premise of it in a in a magic or in a fantasy kingdom. I'm just going to call it fantasy kingdom because it is made up.
uh,
There's a tradition where when the king is to be or the young prince is to be married, he uh, you'll have a bunch of candidates petition to become the next queen, and he has to basically put them up in his palace. Each of them gets their own dormitory, or actually, they each get their own housing unit, which that's a pretty darn big royal palace.
yeah.
Um, and the tradition is that the king goes through the calendar. I keep saying the king. This guy is a king because his parents died when he was young, and he's getting married older because he was busy figuring out how to run the kingdom before getting married himself.
Mm,
So, but the tradition is that the prince will go through and he'll visit the consort in the first house on the first of the month, and the second, and then on the second of the month, and so on, and just do a rotation until he is picked as queen. And there's like a certain amount of you have to give everybody a shot. So like he can't just declare someone out right away because oh this is the daughter of an important duke, so they might be pissed off if they got dismissed it right away.
mm.
Or it's like yeah, they sent me a 7-year-old. She's clearly out, but I can't piss off her dad.
Yeah. E- uh,
But the thing is, there's the 31st consort. The thing is that their calendar only has a 31st on it every 3 months, like clockwork, which means that basically nobody who actually is serious about wanting to be the royal consort, or the queen, I should say, actually picks the 31st. So it ends up falling to this girl whose name escapes me at the moment, who is basically a country bumpkin living in this isolated part of the kingdom where her family decides to put her up for it because they were kind of lacking on options for nobility who were willing to take the 31st slot after all the good spots were taken. She arrives, and the way I describe her is like, so fun thing about late stage nobility is that a lot of nobility contracts for like, oh, the peasants have to give us this much money or this much grain or whatever, they were written in stone at some point in like the Middle Ages or so. Guess what they didn't account for? Inflation. So there were actually a lot of nobles who, sure, they were getting some sort of tithe from, or some sort of payment from their peasants or whoever was running the land, but they couldn't adjust the rates to actually keep them solvent, so they had to have a real job on top of it. And that's basically the way I think of this girl's family.
Yeah.
Because they're from a relatively poor part of the country. It's like an island that's also on top of a mountain. So like there's not a lot of growing there. So they just grow rare medicinal herbs. That's really all they can handle. But she shows up. She doesn't get a coterie of maids like everyone else. She doesn't get a household budget. She ends up having to kind of feed herself because they barely give her any food. So she just starts planting her own garden and making her own stuff. And all the knights very quickly fall in love with her, start showing up at her place every day because she's actually nice and pleasant and takes care of them.
Yeah.
Guys are pretty simple when you get down to it.
Yeah.
And so it takes a while for her to meet the king, and of course he mistakes her for her maid because she's dressed so plainly and she's doing chores and is kind of dirty when he shows up. And he's clearly smitten, and once he figures it out, and from there it is weird. Okay, so I have a couple of minor criticisms of this thing for what it's trying to achieve. The first is that it's a classic case of there's no conflict in this movie. Except there is, but there isn't a whole lot. Because you would kind of expect her to be, showing up at balls or whatever, and they're being like, oh, she has to jostle with the other consorts for attention. Like that, or oh, the consorts are sending an assassin to deal with her because she's getting popular in the castle or whatever. As of the first volume, this has not actually happened. There's a lot of setup and a lot of general pleasantness.
Yeah.
I will say I think that the target audience for this thing would be women mostly, because it is like the female romantic fantasy of, oh, I'm such a put upon person and the king loves me. Except that unlike a Bella Swan or whatever, where they're just have no personality and they're designed to be projected onto, this girl is kind of spunky and has some traits. So it's like it's superior to that. I have a second volume that I haven't read yet. I am going to, just because I'm kind of curious where this is going. The other criticism I would have is that the pacing at the start is very abrupt, and my best guess, without looking it up, but just based on there being an original story that this is based on, according to the credits, is that this was a light novel at first, and a lot of light novel to manga translations actually have weird pacing in my experience. Like there have been a number of occasions where I've been reading a manga and go, what is up with this? Like we're just kind of blitzing through it. It's like, oh, light novel. just because a novel's pacing is different than a comic's pacing usually.
Yeah.
But I will say is that compared to a lot of these I've seen, this one is much better at holding the interest, just because the characters are generally pleasant and there is enough question of mark about what's going on. Also, they don't take too long to actually have the king realize that he likes her, so they avoid the usual manga will they or won't they thing.
Yeah.
I would say is that it's pretty clear that it's a will they. It's just the king has to, with the help of his knights and confidants, figure out a way to maneuver so he actually can marry this country bumpkin instead of picking, the Grand Duke's daughter or whatever.
Oh, yeah. Okay.
I would say there's an audience I would recommend this to. I don't think that audience is the same people who like to watch us talk about James Bond movies or James Bond adjacent movies or the like.
Yeah.
Um, I would say that if you have a daughter who is interested in anime manga stuff, this would actually be a pretty decent choice for them because there's nothing inappropriate in there as far as I can recall.
Oh, yeah. So no fan service, scenes or
Right.
yeah. Yeah.
Right. I think this is firmly dialed in at it's a more innocent crowd.
Okay.
It's just kind of cute.
Hmm.
Yeah,
Nice.
I don't recommend this to most people, but I think that if any of this sounded remotely interesting to you, then you will like it because it's a better example than many of this sort of uh, pseudo-European romance of manners type thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
Hey, you know what? This week Daniel didn't have a spare thing of his own,
Mm.
which is unusual for him. But then again, I didn't want to make him work after hours.
Yeah.
There, I did it. I found a transition. I didn't think I
Yes.
would manage it, but I did.
Nice. Yes, yeah, we watched yes, our final review of the night, After Hours, a one of Martin Scorsese's, I think, lesser known titles. Because I had never heard of it until DB saw it on Netflix. I'm like,
It's a bad sign when you have a big time director like Martin Scorsese, and they have a movie from around like like this is like in the middle of the peak of his career, really, or the best part of his career that you've never heard of before.
yeah, yeah,
Like before I ever saw Goodfellas, I'd heard of Goodfellas. Before I ever saw Wolf of Wall Street, I saw Wolf of Wall Street.
yeah, yeah, yeah. But this movie, nope.
Wait, wait,
Yes, yeah,
wait, was Wolf of Wall Street Scorsese?
yeah, yes, yeah. It was
Oh,
Scorsese, yeah,
okay, good. I
yeah.
doubted myself for a moment there.
And then, and then before this one, it was Taxi Driver.
Right, exactly. Like
Yeah,
I never heard, or excuse me, I had heard of Taxi Driver for years, but I'd never seen it. So
yeah,
it's like, why had I never heard of this movie before?
yeah. And then we watched it, and we found out.
This thing has a 7.6 on IMDb.
No, I put it. I put it at like 5 or 6.
Yeah, I might even go as low as a 4 if I'm in a bad mood about it.
Yeah,
Yeah.
yeah.
Okay, so would I go so far as to call this no moral theater? Because
Yeah.
like the movie kind of ends where it begins. Like I guess the best I could say for it is like it's a story about how crazy New York can get after hours, or it's a morality tale about don't pick up strange women, or don't leave your house after 11 o'clock in New York to get some strange.
Yeah. To get some loving.
Yeah.
Yeah. Yeah. I mentioned this when I was watching it and then before the show. But this movie, the plot of this movie reminds me of the worst episode of Ted Lasso. For any of you out there, if you've watched Ted Lasso, you probably know the episode I'm talking about. I want to say it was not the last episode of season 2, but the second to last episode. With where it was featuring the assistant coach, Coach Beard, out on a night out of the town in London. Yeah, that was a horrible episode, and part of me wonders if maybe like the people on that show watched this movie and said, "Hey, let's do that."
We can do it better.
No.
All right.
But
So
yeah.
yeah. So overall premise, you have Paul Hackett, who is a word processor by day, and they kind of bring this up, and it's like it seems like it should be a plot point, but it really isn't. It's almost like it's a joke in and of itself that he is a word processor, which doesn't really make a whole lot of sense.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's like it's just like meant to emphasize how mundane he is.
I guess so. Yeah. Yeah. He's played by Griffin Dunn, who before this he was in An American Werewolf in London. He played the buddy of the guy who's turning into a werewolf. He actually dies. He actually gets killed by the werewolf, but his disembodied self keeps appearing to his friend, and his body keeps getting more and more like decayed and decrepit. Alex Kurtzman ripped it off in the Mummy, the Tom Cruise Mummy, where his buddy kept coming back and talking to him. That's where they got it from. That's where Kurtzman got it from.
Man, the more you learn about Kurtzman, you wonder, are people going to finally stop giving him money to try to make movies?
I think it's starting to. I think that time's finally coming. But yeah, so he plays Paul. He's a kind of a mundane word processor, as DB pointed out. And then one night he's sitting in a restaurant reading a book, the Tropic of Cancer, which I only know about that book from an episode of Seinfeld.
Yeah, I think it was like it's one of those like book covers I've seen around before, but I couldn't tell you why or how.
Yeah. And he's reading the book, and then a beautiful young lady notices him and starts talking to him about the book and everything. And her name is Marcy, played by Rosanna Arquette, who, I mean, she's been around for like decades. Her whole family are all actors and actresses. So he's obviously, really likes her a lot, and she seems to like him. And she gives him her number because she's staying with a friend of her, with a friend who's an artist who makes like sculptures out of
Paper mache or plaster.
Plaster, paper mache, which yeah.
Yeah, and so the first hint I kind of had that this movie was strange in a way that, like, where it thought it was delightful and it wasn't really, was like, oh man, my roommate is so wacky. She makes these paperweights that are cream cheese and bagel out of plaster. And instead of the guy just admitting that he wants to come over and have some alone time with her, he pretends he really wants to buy one of these things. Like, that's his excuse to come on over.
Right. Yeah. So he ends up going to the apartment, and it's down in Soho, which if you know anything about New York, that's kind of downtown, I believe.
Yep.
And it's but Soho is where that's where all the artists were, where they all live in New York, is down in Soho. And so then he goes down, and he goes down there. He meets the friend who Kiki, who is played by Linda Fiorentino. And the only other movie I've ever seen her in was Men in Black. She's the coroner in that movie.
Did not recognize her.
Well, she looks very different in this movie than she did in Men in Black.
Right. This one, she basically just looks like if you asked a right-wing creator to create, like, okay, Make an artist who's clearly a lesbian but also not soft.
Yeah. Yeah, and so Paul goes down there and he meets up with Marcy, and immediately he's kind of getting some really weird vibes from her. It's she's clearly like hiding things from him, and then he finds out that she has another boyfriend, and on top of that,
And
she's
she's still
married.
married. Yeah.
She's still married, and he's just like, okay, I'm getting out of here.
It's kind of like that one. What was it? What was that? The Homewreckers, or what was that movie where the Tom Hanks one?
Oh, uh, Money Pit.
The Money Pit. It's like the situation in the Money Pit where like they're separated, but she's still married to him, and it's just very
Yeah,
strange.
yeah, and they were living in the guy's apartment, and yeah.
Yeah, it's just unusual all around, and I don't know what to
Yeah.
think of it.
What's New York? What do you
Yeah.
New
But
Yorkers are
anyhow,
weird. Yeah.
got distracted there.
Yeah. But yeah, so Paul, so he ditches Marcy, but then we forgot to mention that on in the cab ride over down to Soho, his money flies out of the window. He had a $20
Right.
bill that flies out. So now
Right.
he doesn't have any cash.
It's his last $20.
Yeah.
And
And it's the
I almost
mid 1980s, so there are no ATMs.
right, no ATMs, no cell phone, no credit card. Nobody knows where he is. He lives alone.
Yeah.
He didn't tell anybody where he was going.
Yeah. Yeah.
It's just a bad situation all around.
Yes. I'm sorry I interrupted you. What were you going to say?
I was going to say, like a lot of times with a movie like this, where I want people to watch it, at this point I start going, okay, at this point here there'll be past here there'll be spoilers. I don't recommend this movie. I think with Daniel and I just need a little bit of talking therapy to make sure we didn't collectively hallucinate this thing.
Yeah. Yeah.
The thing of it is, like, this is billed as a comedy, and I cannot think of a time in this movie where I actually laughed at anything.
I may have chuckled at a couple of things here and there. Like there's like the one scene where like he sees the woman shooting the guy through the window, and he says, I bet I'm gonna get blamed for that."
True, okay, yeah, at that point it was kind of funny, like that.
Yeah, that line was that was a good, funny little moment there.
And part of that is that this movie very much punishes him for existing. It's the nicest way I can put it.
Yeah, and he doesn't really do anything to deserve it, other than wanting to get laid.
Right. Like, so among other things, he tells the girl, hey, sorry, I'm not feeling it. Because she weirds him out, and like, part of the reason he's weirded out is because she has like a bunch of burns all over her body, which not entirely cool to be that hung up about that, but I also kind of get it.
Yeah.
On top of all the other weirdness. It's so he
Yeah. So he goes through a series of misfortunes where he'll encounter somebody who is willing to help him, but then for whatever reason they can't help him, or something happens with him and
it backfires on him.
Yeah.
Like it's like the woman he's going to hook up with, she ends up killing herself. But before he finds out about that, he goes down to a local bar because it's bucketing rain, and it turns out that they raised the cost of cab or
the subway
fare just that day at midnight. So he didn't have, like, his 97 cents wouldn't get him anywhere.
Yeah.
It's like the bartender decides to help him out, but hey, we'll exchange keys. I can't leave this place, go to my place and get this thing and come back. But then he gets sidetracked, and the guy's neighbors conclude that he's this person who's been breaking into houses all over the place. And so
Yeah, and so now everybody in the neighborhood is coming after him, and then of course then you also have the waitress in the bar. So here's something that's funny. The bartender is played by John Hurd, and then later on in the movie, Catherine O'Hara shows up. Now, sadly, Catherine O'Hara passed away recently, um, but John Hurd and Catherine O'Hara are Kevin McAllister's parents from Home Alone.
I forgot about that.
Yeah.
So who knows? Maybe they met and settled down in the in the
Yeah, they've had,
suburbs.
yeah, they went suburban Chicago, yeah. Uh, but but yeah, so then yeah, but then you also have the waitress at the bar, who's played by
Who
Terry Garr,
who's also a nut.
who's also a nut, yeah. And for those of you who don't know Terry Garr was, she was in Young Frankenstein. She's the blonde assistant, with the great knockers. um And she's really
Okay.
weird because she lives in she thinks it's still in the 1960s.
Yeah. Right. Like all of her, like she has a beehive hairdo, and yeah.
Yeah. Well, yeah,
Also, I didn't recognize her in color.
oh yeah, yeah. um and then yeah, so but yeah, so like the people and then he runs into Catherine. Well, Catherine O'Hara is because
Well, we're
he get,
skipping a step. He ends up
oh yeah.
going back to the apartment, um, and um, he finds the artist tied up after Cheech and Chong. Yes, that Cheech and Chong
Yes, Cheech and
seemed
Chong.
to have stolen the a bunch of the statues and stuff from the
Yeah.
apartment. And she's tied up and gagged, and she drops. Like, he seems desperate to get in, so she drops him the keys, and he gets up there because he assumes, oh, these two people showed up, stole their shit, and tied her up.
Yeah.
No, she's playing bondage games with some guy she had over.
Yeah.
And that's when he
Yeah.
finds that the blonde he was going to hook up with killed herself with pills.
Yeah.
But he has to go, so he just tapes up a bunch of signs that say "dead body with arrows."
Yeah. Yeah, and yeah, and then of course it just gets even messier because we find out that like the bartender John Hurd that's his girlfriend. So it's just like this whole the whole rigmarole, and then of course then Paul he finally finds a taxi because he steals money. He steals a $20 bill off of one of the paper mache sculptures.
Mm-hmm.
And but then the cabbie, it's the same cabbie that took him down there, and he didn't pay him, so he just takes the 20 and drives off. And then that's when Catherine O'Hara shows up, and then of course, Catherine O'Hara is like, okay, well, she has an ice cream truck, so she's like, I'll drive you back home. And then but then she sees all of these leaflets everywhere with a sketch of him that Terry Garr had drawn up, because it's saying that he's the guy robbing everybody's houses. So now he's got a mob after him.
Right. Catherine O'Hara just goes insane.
Oh yeah.
Like she was probably to my mind, the funniest character, just for how like quickly she went from zero to nuts.
Yeah. Yeah.
Like everybody was just super into killing him.
Yeah. And and yeah, so the basically it's just like, and he, by the end of it all, he's just like, and just he's just so desperate and tired and everything. And then finally he just
It's finally, yeah, he dances with this old woman thinking he's about to die, and she
yeah.
covers him in plaster to make him a statue. And then he gets stolen by Cheech and Chong, who said, hey, we bought this statue for we actually bought something for the first time in our lives. That didn't work out. I'm just gonna go back to stealing crap.
Yeah. But then he falls out of the truck, and then the plaster breaks, and then he just so happens to land right at his office
As the doors are opening.
Yeah, so he just goes to work covered in plaster.
And that's where it's like, well, the movie starts where it begins, at his office.
Yeah.
And it's like, Dad, what was the point of that story?
I like stories.
Because
Yeah.
here's the thing, is like, okay, so Griffin Dunne as an actor, I felt sorry for the character, but I just don't think he quite had that leading man charisma to make this work.
No, he didn't. I'm trying to think who would be better for this part. I think if we're going by like 1980s.
I almost want to say Bill Murray.
Oh, Murray would have been good. Yeah, maybe Martin Short.
Yeah. Now Chevy Chase would be basically Griffin Dunn, but
An
actually,
asshole, a bigger asshole. Yeah.
yeah. And actually, maybe that's if you're going to lean into that, maybe Chevy Chase's level of inherent assholishness that he brings to every role would have worked because uh, then you wouldn't feel so sorry for him as he kept getting tortured. Because like
Yeah.
when you look at it objectively, like what did Griffin do, or what did Paul the character do wrong? He met a woman at a bar or at a diner. She calls him, or he calls up at 11:15, and she decides she wants some company. He gets turned off by the weird stories she is telling somebody that she has just met, including that her husband, the reason they separated, well, I was a virgin on the night we were married, but he was obsessed with the Wizard of Oz, and every time he came, he would shout, "Submit to me, Dorothy," and apparently he didn't even realize he was doing it.
Yeah.
Like, okay, like who among us who isn't into that specific kink would not be at least a little put off by that story?
More, yeah. I think everybody would. Yeah. Yeah, man.
It's like, can you blame him for wanting to get out of there, even though she was kind of vulnerable? It's not like he told her to kill herself.
Yeah,
Just
yeah.
that
He's
he had no way of knowing that last bit of rejection would be able to put her over the edge.
yeah, yeah. This. Oof.
And then, like, he just was it his fault that his now it was partially his fault for having the window open at that time of night when it was cold. And it's like, what are you doing, man? Why was your window open to let your $20 bill blow out the window?
Yeah, yeah, yeah,
But like, that's not like that is leaving yourself open for misfortune, not something you can be blamed for.
yeah,
Like, it's really just a decent guy, decent like blue collar, I know, see, white collar guy out there late at night getting caught up in the insanity of Soho among the riffraff. Like
yeah.
maybe the movie would mean more to me if I had lived in New York for any period of time.
Mm,
It would be more relatable.
yeah. But yeah. No, I hear you there. I mean, I mentioned this before. I had an uncle who lived in New York around this time period. I don't think he ever did anything like this at all. Like, or never
Yeah,
even would even think to do anything like this. Yeah.
right. It also this is a movie that is very safe from ever being remade because there are so many technologies that would stop this from happening anymore.
Yeah, yeah, he'd yeah, he'd have a cell phone. Although even if he like lost his phone,
Hmm.
he could find somebody to loan him their phone, or
Or,
he'd or go
right.
to a store and maybe or he'd have credit cards. He'd have yeah,
There'd be more 24-hour businesses
mhm, yeah,
nowadays, probably.
yeah, and he'd find some way to get on the internet and maybe call an Uber or something. Yeah,
Right. Like you might have had a humiliating scene where he had to trade his wristwatch for, like, hey man, hire me an Uber. Uh, I'll trade you my wristwatch. Like that kind of thing.
yeah. Yeah. No, no, you're right. Yeah, they couldn't do this movie today with with modern technology. Yeah. It's just
Yeah. But okay, like the fact that it has a 7.6 when many movies I have loved are like 6 on IMDb. It's like, is it people who, because it's Scorsese, think it's smarter than it actually is? Because it's a
it's
Scorsese movie? Like, my immediate reaction upon finishing this was only Martin Scorsese could have gotten away with making this movie because I think if anybody else had looked at or had wanted to make this script, somebody would have been going, what?
yeah. Yeah, I think there's probably a lot to that. Yeah. Yeah, there's just a lot of people who are like Scorsese, fanboys. They'll just like anything he puts out. Not as bad as Christopher Nolan fans, but you know.
Right.
Yeah.
The other thought I have with it is, again, it's billed as a comedy, and I think the most of the comedy in this comes from how absurd the situation is. But it's like Scorsese has some of the funniest lines in movies, in my opinion. Between Wolf of Wall Street and like a couple scenes in Taxi Driver were funny, and
Yeah.
in sort of a dark way. And the
Yeah. Good.
Goodfellas had funny
Yeah.
moments. If I already
Yeah.
mentioned Goodfellas and didn't mention Wolf of Wall Street was like very much intentionally a comedy.
Oh yeah. Yeah.
So it's just I think it's when you have somebody who is good at injecting humor into a tense script, trying to make a movie entirely out of humor. Like they
Yeah.
don't quite, because like I could see in a more serious movie a lot of these scenes coming across as good comedy relief.
Mm. Yeah. But I mean, obviously very dark comedy. Um,
Right.
but
Oh,
it's
for sure.
yeah, and the thing with dark comedy is that sometimes it can land and sometimes it can't. At least for me, like if something, unless I know something is a dark comedy, I'm gonna automatically think it's a drama and not see the humor.
Right. Like I would say the first scene that you know that the movie is trying to be a little bit off key and wacky is in the diner where you have uh the cashier dancing with himself.
Yeah,
Like, that's the first offbeat moment. But it isn't exactly funny. It's just more like, okay, yeah, there are strange people in New York, whatever.
yeah,
He's probably like a failed male ballerina or something, or he's
yeah,
taking he's taking dancing lessons on the side.
yeah. Yeah, or well, I would say even the cab ride down to Soho was probably the only real attempt at a screwball comedy moment. Because the cab driver's driving so fast and he's like flopping on
Right.
the back. And
Right. And I was like, well, that happened after the diner scene though.
right, yeah, yeah,
But yeah, you're right. Like the next bit was like, this isn't quite landing. Like this, should I be laughing right now?
yeah,
Are they trying to make me laugh? Why don't I feel
yeah.
like laughing?
Why don't I feel like laughing, Marty? What's going on?
Yeah, exactly. So yeah, it's not an amazing movie. It's weirdly fascinating, but
Yeah, it's just weird to me. It's just think it's weird. It's an odd little movie.
yeah, and I can see why it's not seen as one of his greats.
Yeah, yeah. I was just remembering the scene in Wolf of Wall Street when DiCaprio when he's overdoses on Quaaludes and he's flopping around on the ground.
Yeah, like there's nothing remotely as funny as that in this movie.
No, not even close. But yeah, I can't recommend this movie. It is on Netflix, although is this another one that's getting pulled in a couple of days?
No, I think this was a more recent edition.
Okay. But but yeah, I don't, there are better Scorsese movies to watch than this one. But I think we've said all we need to say for tonight.
Yeah, possibly more than we need to say, but
Yeah, yeah. Well, we got all of it off of our chest.
indeed.
Well, thank you everybody for tuning in. We appreciate it as always. Hit the like button, subscribe to the channel if you haven't already, ring the bell, buy some books.
Yeah, specifically my new book that's coming out.
Yes, I'll put the link in the description somewhere. I'll put it in the comment section, and then I'll put it with the individual videos as well. So, but yes, yeah, go get Magpie Wizard, and we'll see you next week. Bye, everybody.
Good night.